Okay, I'd like to call to order the normal monthly meeting for the City of Manistee Housing Commission. It's Thursday, February 19th. It is 9:03. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Mycheck,
Here.
Commissioner Szymanski. Here. Commissioner Pelton is absent. Commissioner Goodman.
Here.
President Fosdick.
Here. Amendments to the agenda.
Are we gonna review the contract?
Yes. That on,
No.
It's under Personnel Committee, but we want it under new business. Karen, don't you
I
think?
think you should.
Right.
We'll add that B under B.
What are we calling it?
Contract.
You got ED contract.
Executive Director contract.
Okay, anything else? Public comments on the agenda related item. Now, is it on the agenda? Okay,
Pretty sure.
go ahead, Dave.
On the, resident recycle survey, I'm not gonna be able to stay around, so I want to make some comments.
I don't know anything about a red cycle
We
survey.
did a survey.
It's included in the packet.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think we got a lot of other projects in the fire here that should take priority over working on this recycling.
If we take,
You know, the maintenance building needs a roof. This project and the beautification is in the work. And there was no mention in there on how much this is gonna cost the city or the residents.
Yes, it's $191 a month.
What?
$191 a month, $191.75 per month.
Per building,
No. you would
per
get-
person?
No,
oh,
Us to pay.
What?
Just for us to pay.
Oh,
yeah, the housing commission would start with one dumpster to give it a trial period if we decide to today. And I did find out that there are 4 bins. And we would work with the residents and the resident council to educate the residents on that.
okay, but that's on the agenda coming up.
As far as getting into that project, waste problem is a problem right now. We got the wheelie bins down there. They closed down the chutes. Century, or not Century, but Harbor View. And that's, I don't know, that's gotta be a big expense right there. And most of the people, the residents can't break down cardboard boxes. So if they can't break down cardboard boxes, you know, they put one box in the wheelie bin and it's full. Yeah, it's like. So we gotta have more cooperation with the residents before we go to the next step, which is recycling. We're just lucky we get the garbage out on time.
Unfortunately, we have nothing that we can do. This is a ordinance by the city. It's a
Oh,
requirement for us to do this. It's not a nice to have, it's a requirement.
ordinance?
The entire city is under a recycling contract. So every home in Manistee has one of those little blue buckets that says recycle and has the same piece of information that went with it.
Now, didn't they have a recycling place over there on Memorial Drive?
They did a while back.
Mandated by the
Is that,
state.
is that done?
It was mandated by the state that we have to have.
So the
Have
state
curbside.
mandates is now the city mandate?
Well, the city's just following the state mandate. We were
It's
required to follow it.
curbside for any city over 6,000 people, and we're 6,200, so lucky us, so. But,
So who enforces the ordinances?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we do have an ordinance officer, but something like this is more, every time somebody does something wrong with the garbage, it pollutes the entire bin. It makes the recycling practically worthless. So,
Actually, Manistee has, they take up Traverse City, has had a very clean record on that. That was brought up Tuesday night, and I was shocked that the guy said we have not had one complaint about Manistee putting in grease or things that are not recyclable. So all the residents, which is the whole town, have adapted really well, very fast.
Okay, we're gonna cover that later in the agenda.
Yeah, well,
we
I
got
have to go, so I just wanted to get my 2 cents worth of that.
Thanks, Dave.
thank you.
Something to add by me?
I was surprised not to see the comments on the riverfront project down here. That happened before this recycling deal.
Yeah, we still have a
They were
long way to
soliciting
go on the
comment
shoreline
on the
improvement
river.
project.
But we will, we're still just in that kind of that idea phase.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
More to come for sure.
well, I think commission has to prioritize stuff. We got security
are.
issues, parking lot and everything.
We are.
else.
There's a lot of things going on, but we are definitely prioritizing them.
Thank
And
you.
if you stayed for the meeting, you'd find out where the priority was. Patrick?
Yeah, in regard to the recycling, I think the education idea is a good one. I don't know why we couldn't just put something, a little small piece in the newsletter every month. Just to keep reminding people how to do it. In regard to your question before you leave, the recycling drop-off station that they had over by the gas wells, that's gone. If you want to recycle now and you don't have a bin, you have to drive out to Republic Services during the weekday to do it. As far as that cost, $191, I as a resident would be happy to pick up my share. That's under $1 per resident. And I think that's a fabulous deal. And I would be happy to pick up my share of it. And if we do have the recycling, it will reduce the need for all those little individual bins. So we could possibly cut out half of those bins if we get this thing to work. Just by eliminating the boxes that go in those and educating people on how to reduce their garbage.
Well, like I said, they can't break down their boxes, reduce the volume, so.
You handle a knife, you cut the tape, you
Well, education.
education. And I guess that's about it on that.
Consent agenda, approval of the minutes, regular meeting minutes from January 15th. Approval of bills and disbursements for January 2026 and financial reports for December of 2025.
I will make a motion that we accept everything under the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Century Terrace gradient heat pump update.
So the couple that lives at Century Terrace that allowed us to install the unit in their living room absolutely love it. She says it increases the airflow in the apartment and she has not had to use the heater in the bedroom at all. But we did find out that the bedrooms will not, are not large enough to allow egress once the unit, if we were to install the unit in the bedroom. So if we were to go this route, we would only be able to install them in the living room. We had talked about, we met with the building official, the city building official, Jerry Blue, and he said that one option would be maybe like if you wanted to cut a hole in the wall between the bedroom and the living room to allow the heat through there.
Let's just make a-
Yeah, so we are tracking the energy savings on it currently and more to come.
Executive Director search update. We're gonna cover that.
I think you got under new business. That'll be under new business.
New business, resident recycle survey results.
So yeah, I thought that was very reasonable quote, 191.75. Do you see the email from Aaron Ellison that I passed around? He did state that, we can sticker the bin to show that is recycling only, but there is a chance that a tenant could accidentally throw trash into it if they are not paying attention. If trash accidentally is thrown into the container, it could flag the load as contaminated and there would be a fee associated with that. I'm able to lower the contamination fee down to you for $25 per instance. And if there is a trend that it is contaminated more often than is not, we can always remove the container if needed or try to come up with a different solution to try and help the tenants understand which bin to use for various items that they are disposing of. And then the survey results, do you see the survey results there? We had about 22 residents responded, which is not a large percentage of residents, but there is definitely interest out there. So I would recommend that we give it a try.
Now, is this all for scattered sites?
Every scattered site unit has their own recyclable tote.
But the $191 is for that also.
No, we get billed,
That's the same resident.
it's, I believe it's
We all,
somewhere around,
260 is what the residents pay.
okay, times 47, so we're currently paying that.
So we're paying more for the scattered sites than we are for Century Terrace and Harborview.
Yes, so yeah, we have,
because of all the individual pickups.
but we have to share that.
Oh, you share?
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
oh, so each.
some one bedrooms share, some, there's a couple units that share. You don't have your own tote.
I do for my garbage, but not for recycling. We have to share.
Okay, I need to look at that, see how we're getting billed for that.
Do we have somebody, waiting in our lobby here to come in?
Yeah.
That somebody for now? I know that we asked.
9:30.
Okay,
Oh, you asked him to come in?
I asked that he be invited, so.
I don't
Yeah,
think he could make it.
He's in Denver.
All right.
Okay, anything else on recycle?
So to Patrick's point though, Steve, I think this could potentially reduce the cost at some point down the road. And if this doesn't work, one strategy that we were successful in is we provided a space in the buildings and had the bins in the buildings and then had to transport them out. So, I mean, there's a combination.
You got a little bit of an opportunity to check to make sure.
That's right. That's kind of we could sort through papers, boxes, cans and plastic. And yeah, so there's some other options too.
I know at the county level in our recycling, we have not been as fortunate as city people, and people throw trash. We've had several instances of that, and it's painful for a while, and it costs, but it improves. So if we run into one situation, we can't throw everything out. You have to just kind of like, we might endure it a couple times before everybody gets on the same page on how to do it. And typically for us, it was sometimes visitors were dropping stuff from their cottage in our bins.
So we do have 167 residents between Century Terrace and Harborview. So it'd be just over $1 per resident to try this out.
And it is amazing, anybody in the city, like the difference in your garbage,
It was 110,000 pounds. I mean, it was in 6 months.
Yeah,
He gave the statistic. It was huge so the volume.
I was like, wow, I need a smaller bin now for that.
When we lived in Germany, they had recycling. You had to do it a little bit more. And the bin for your regular garbage was the same size as the other ones, except it was only that deep. They had a insert, so it only was that much that you
So
could
that-
actually put real garbage.
Thanks for all that, following that up. Thing to do.
Okay, let's move into the contract review. Yes, it's you, Karen.
Yes, I have been busy. back and forth thing with, Dave, our consultant, and Shiloh Rohr, who we decided to make the offer to. Started out bumpy, but we've come to an agreement. I'm sorry. Obviously doesn't want me to talk. And I have, worked with Jeff Klug, our attorney, who graciously went through this on his vacation out, I don't know where he is, but he's out skiing somewhere.
Big Sky
Let me
Montana.
interrupt just for a second, so everyone here knows. This is about a contract for our new executive director.
I was wondering if that got passed over.
Right.
Yes. So, so it's all looked by our attorney. I sent it out to, Shiloh, for review and asked him if it was in his, if he felt confident with it, that he should initial where he should initial and sign where he signs. And here is his signed contract. The terms are all in. Here's a couple extra copies if you guys can look at it.
Just a single page.
No, it's 8 pages. So there's one for her too. So, it's really nothing bigger than what we talked about. Thank you. His counter offer was, extremely high. And I told Dave, no, start looking at the next guy. And so we came to some terms with, okay, looking around, doing cost analysis, kind of doing a review. I came to a medium. I think I talked with Mark a lot about it. So we came to a space, but also added in moving fees and a one-time signing fee. Bonus, I guess you'd say. So he was pretty happy with that. Yeah, I mean, he's excited. He's very easy to work with. I am beyond impressed with his professionalism, his eagerness. He wants to start right away in a remote capacity, which I said I had no problems with that. It would be like Wednesday. He sent a long list, and I think I sent it over to Lori, of all the things, if we could upload those things for him to start reviewing. He wants to have the knowledge base before he gets here in the 1st of March. His fiance is excited, and so excited that they might be a married couple by the time they arrive here. Told me that last night.
Well, the 1st of March is just a week away.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure we can have this done by then.
Have what done? A contract signed?
Right.
Your signature, and I'm walking up to see Bill. What else do we have to do?
Yeah, I thought Bill had to approve it before we
No,
signed up.
I'm walking up to Bill. I sent Bill a
Okay.
copy of it.
So if we
He's
approve
okay
it
with it?
today,
I haven't heard from him,
if
so.
we can get a motion to approve
I
it
think
today.
you're first, and then it
Bill
goes.
sent
Okay.
it. Does not have to go in front of council. It's just Bill.
Well, I make the motion that we approve the contract as written
I am the president to sign it.
and the president will.
Do I get a second first or
Well, you
discussion?
can discuss it first and then
Okay.
you
Well,
get
so
your,
usually
oh,
you
second.
Oh, second.
first,
Yeah,
second, then you discuss.
so
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. I personally am nervous. I like Shiloh. I think he's a great guy. I don't know how we afford him, but I don't know how we not afford him. We have been 2 years trying to find a permanent executive director. And we have looked locally, we have looked statewide, we've looked regionally, and now we find somebody from Oregon. But I'm nervous.
I think that, as I was going through the process, I was telling Dave, every day that I get another counter is another day that I'm getting concerned. And I, told him that, I just would have handled it differently. And so that was our last conversation and, I said, I'm happy to move it forward and take it from him. I don't think Shiloh was, I just, everything was just so professional. I really feel very sincere. He's trying to do the best for him. And I was pretty good about, I'm putting my feet in the cement here. And this is all we can do. This is, where we're at and this is what we'll offer. And he knows there are expectations. I think we've talked about at the last meeting. There are costs that we, contract out. Things that we can bring back in-house that would save us money. So I think we came to a reasonable, salary. And the reason I didn't go up and I put it in as one time, to get him here. I didn't want to put any legacy costs out there. So that's why,
I appreciate it.
yeah, the bonus and the one time and the contract notes, if he doesn't stay, we get that money back.
Mhm.
I reduced the payback for the move down to $2,500. If he leaves within a year, he has to pay $2,500 and the $5,000 bonus back. So I put, that's in the contract too. So,
I think it's fair. I mean, I don't know that the other candidate would have been any less. Or,
they've been close.
yeah, they would have
they've
been about
close
the
to
same
each other,
because,
yeah.
they're similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
I mean, and probably from the financial side, he probably had a deeper pockets to reach into from.
Abe?
Yeah.
Abe was more financial oriented.
Yeah.
Which we need, but we also talked about Abe coming on as Shiloh's assistant.
As a
Did you
deputy
have any,
director.
did you have any discussion with Shiloh over that?
No,
Abe is not interested in that
He's not.
option.
Good. Because I would like Shiloh to pick his own deputy director.
He suggested,
He needs it, finds one.
I mean, working with Lori for a transition period or whatever it takes. I think that's a really good idea. And I think once he's on board, then we can work out those details with Lori and him and figure that out. But I will say, just my comment, the questions he answered about management, texture, very, very well. Knows, understands the business and there wasn't any missteps in any of the answers.
he answered with some creativity too, which I was impressed with, some other creative ideas, things that we can do. He doesn't just see 2 buildings and, 47 other sites. He sees opportunity. And it's not only, to build, something, but he has a nice balance of understanding the people who are living within our services. He's really focused on that too, which to me has been missing for a long time until you guys got here.
And I think the other fact that's important is how thorough he was.
Oh, yeah, he was, wow.
He literally went through and looked at all of our previous meetings. He looked at the finances, and he looked at us. I mean, he knew about us. He went and I'm sure LinkedIn or something like that.
Well, and he also knew everyone that was at that meeting last Monday because he made it a point to make sure everyone knew who he was.
Yeah.
So that kind of thoroughness is important. Again, the devil's in the details, as they say. And so he literally looks into the details. And I think that'll be a strong asset for him.
We were a large, metropolitan area and had a lot more, what he was asking for was, I would have been like, no problem, because he's he's that good, but who we are is who we are and what we have is what we have. And he compromised, which was great.
We'll have to build him a home.
Yeah, well, I asked him to, if he had talked. to
Tell him the
somebody.
bad news is he just got outside of the 80% for a habitat house. So I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sure he's gonna watch this, so show him yourself here. I hear you're building two more.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay. Is this roll call?
No, no, I think it's just a voice vote. All those in favor of approving
All in
the
favor?
contract.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, presentation discussion coming after the meeting.
Do we want to move to the 9:30 interview and then after the interview, jump back up
Sure.
to number 8?
Yeah, that should be for
Forget that way?
You're waiting.
Okay. Please hear,
They're in the waiting room.
just on.
And
Good morning.
hey, good morning. Good morning.
Turn that up, please.
Can you hear us all right?
Yep, that's better.
Where's the share?
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
The share is grayed out over there.
Okay, the share's
Ah.
grayed out. Why is that?
They would have to allow us to share.
Oh,
Andy, are you able to share our slides?
I can't either, nope, unless the, have to be given access to do it.
Have to
Right.
allow them to share, Lori. Right up there, right next to leave is the share, isn't that?
Share is up on top.
Yeah.
Share. There you go.
That's us. Cheryl.
Us to share.
Try the three bubbles with more. I think that might get you. Right next to the camera on the left of the camera.
Click us,
Accessibility.
that little X in the middle there of our screen. Can you click that out? And
No.
Well, I guess we can just, talk from on our
What does
side.
it say, Andy, when you try and share?
it's grayed out.
Yeah, it just says only the meeting organizer can share and presenters can share.
Lori.
If I spotlight you, let's see if you could share if I
No,
spotlight.
that's the camera stuff.
Okay.
It's the camera. You did not send it to you first?
No, I do have, so Doug, I do have the email that you sent us highlighting your last presentation.
I can send you the presentation now if you want. We can send it to you.
Perfect. Can you get it on?
Yeah. I think so.
There you go.
Okay.
See, it's mine.
I give everybody that.
Lori, what's your email again?
So lhatchu@manisteehousing.com. People here go to my emails.
Okay, just send it to you.
Why is it? Stop sharing, it works fine.
Send this on.
in the wrong spot here.
That's okay. Go
Seen that screen.
I was talking over everybody.
What's that?
I've not seen that screen.
So.
Is that them controlling it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Lori, being from Manistee, fashionable Manistee, do you know my minister, Father Rich of Manistee?
Father Rich Bartoshuk?
Yeah.
Yes, I am a friend and classmate of his.
Oh my gosh. No, a classmate. All right.
And he is a character.
I see him every Sunday. He took 2 months off to go to California for his retirement. And he'll be back next Sunday to kick off Easter. And so you would have then known his brother?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Oh my,
yeah, he's got a sister, Mary Lou. Or
Yep.
had a sister, yeah.
had, yeah.
Lori, can we turn the volume up at all, or is that max?
Next.
He works for hearing aids.
Okay,
All right.
So tell them the slide shows up.
What does he think? Okay,
I think you could X out of that one. Expand it.
Okay.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for inviting us to meet with you today to go over the proposal. You know, when we started off with developing the proposal, we tried to stay in line with the goals you guys had in your RFQ, which was really to build new affordable housing. And we're gonna go over again, review the highlights of that approach. We also, based on our last conversation and what Lori's been saying, moving forward is that there's an interest in looking to see what a rehabilitation or preservation approach would look like for the 47 existing public housing units. So we're gonna go over what some highlights of that option as well, and give you some more to more understanding and more to think about as it relates to how you want to proceed. If you go to slide 5, Lori, after disposition, the newly constructed units performance. So Andy's going to go over for you again the highlights of the new construction approach, and then we've also identified some obstacles and possible solutions as it relates to the new construction, and then we'll go right into the preservation approach. So Andy, if you want to hop in.
Sure. Good to be back with everyone again. So as Doug mentioned, we did take another look at this and update from, where we were. What you'll see here on the newly constructed slide looks very similar to the last time that we spoke with you all. And this approach, we have a little bit more comfort, I'll say, from the perspective of scoring, just from kind of where since the last time we spoke, the 9% texture awards came out from MISHDA under their new QAP. So we have a little bit of an idea of where the open rural projects would compete, which is where this one would fall. So if you recall our last conversation, we talked about this would be a 90-10 blend on the rents, given the small PHA size. We would look at, construction costs of about $260 per unit this would be a proposed 36 unit development on the same site where you are now. So the obstacles that we talked about, identified are potential relocation costs, demolition costs, things like that. That we will have to try to figure out if we're going to do that. In the alternative, another site could be found, and then there's costs with that we'd have to, figure out how we manage as well. To try to address some of those things, I think some ideas we came up with, and you'll see on the next slide, was, things we can try to do are to seek Federal Home Loan Bank support through some of this. We've been successful in obtaining those grants from the Federal Home Loan Bank of Indianapolis over the last several years, and those could provide an additional source here that we could work into the project. Alternatively, we're trying to maximize, our scoring and competitiveness here, so we want to be mindful of costs and things. And so we could, if we needed to, try to figure out if we could be competitive by, losing a couple of points or a point to try to incorporate some more of those costs. But those are things we'd have to try to figure out as a new construction. And I think, what would be included in that new construction, as I mentioned, 36 units. It's a blend of, right now, we're talking of potentially 1 and 2 bedroom units. It would be energy efficiency with, either enterprise or LEED or NGBS, depending on whatever standard we want to use. Those would all be incorporated in there as well. And then we'd obviously look for working with the city of Manistee for a pilot as well to help with the financial viability of the project going forward. I'll pause, I guess, for a minute if anyone wants to talk questions on the new construction approach, and I can get into the rehab here in a minute, if that, unless you want me to just roll right into that as well.
No, let's pause here. Okay, 90-10 rad blend. That means 90 would be PBRA and 10 would be what?
Rad rents. So HUD establishes, and the benefit of that is it gives you a higher rent revenue for the development. And one of the concerns, so if we were to pursue the RAD program, there's an option called restore rebuild. And that's where you, after you dispose of the scarred site properties, you free up what are called fair cloth units. That fair cloth authority can be transferred to the new construction that we're proposing. One of the things that we found is, though, under restore rebuild, is that the RAD rents are really low. And it may make the property, as I lay out in the next slide, it may pose an obstacle to generating enough revenue for the development. So something that we're doing with another housing commission right now is that we are building the new construction as public housing initially, putting it in service as public housing, and then immediately converting it under RAD. And you can take advantage of this 90-10 blend. So 90% of the units are PBRA rents and 10% are the RAD rents. And the RAD rents are historically lower. So that's where the value of having 90% of the units as PBRA, it gives you a higher rent level to support the financial pro forma that Andy is constructed. So that's how it would probably play out for a new construction with RAD.
Okay. And you're
Can I-
estimating $260,000 per unit, 1 and 2 bedroom units only, right?
That's what we're projecting right now, yeah. And so, or I said 1 and 2, sorry, I meant 2 and 3. I said 1 and 2, but I meant 2 and 3 bedroom units, so it'd be 18 of each. And so that construction number is just based on what we know from similar, townhome style development costs on a per square foot, what we think could be, reasonably competitive from a scoring perspective. And so just to give you an idea from scoring too of what we'd be looking at. So the last round of MSHDA awards had in this category a range of scores from say 107 to like 99 that were successful. This current proposal would put us at about a 102, which would have been like the second highest scoring in that category the last round. Now, obviously, there's a lot to be figured out, but on initial projections, that's kind of, somewhere in this ballpark is what we're thinking.
Okay, and if we chose to do this, we would raise the buildings that are there and then put the new units up, and we'd have to deal with tenant relocation, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. So what this would do is we would look at, keeping, you know, some of the units if that's achievable, and then demoing what was, you know, desirable to be demoed for the to fit the 36 new units in there. As you mentioned, right, one of the big things we'll have to navigate through is how do we manage the relocation of those residents during that time before they'd be able to move back in. So there is going to be a substantial undertaking there that we'd have to try to figure out what that looks like.
And as we mentioned before, when you do, this is called a Section 18 demolition or disposition or sale. And when you do that, HUD will make available Section 8 tenant protection vouchers for existing tenants. So they would have a means by which they could still find affordable housing. You know, granted, the availability of units in the area may be a question. Also, if you were to sell a portion of the units not needed to be demoed, you know, those residents could ideally stay in place. You know, we talked about sale of, you know, on the open market, MHD housing offered early on in the RFQ process to purchase. Or you could do a below fair market sale to a nonprofit that the Housing Commission creates. And if the residents, it would be their choice if they wanted to stay in place or if they wanted to move, but the residents would be eligible for tenant protection vouchers, which helps with the relocation costs associated with a sale or demolition of the public housing units.
Well, I'm wondering if we decide to do something like this, if we could do this in phases. Because we do have some land we could start with, or maybe a couple empties and do like 5 units and just keep moving. I don't know that a general contractor would be pouring 36 foundations all at once to start with. You know what I'm saying? If we could take our relocation and keep it at as bare minimum as we can.
Anything is possible. We would just highlight that in the executive description. So when we do apply for financing, we can recognize how it's a slow roll.
But we only have what, 2 years, 24
Correct.
months to do a RAD conversion?
Yep.
Okay. Which this part of Michigan, that's only 12 months because the other 12 months is winter. Okay. That's all the questions I had for the new construction.
Great, so let's go into the preservation
Okay.
option.
So shifting over to the preservation, then this would assume, you know, preserving and doing substantial rehabilitation to all 47 units there. And when I say substantial rehabilitation, we would do this like we've done for many other properties in which MHT has preserved, and try to disrupt the residents as little as possible. But it would include, you know, replacement of all major components of the building, right? Roofing, siding, windows, flooring, cabinets, doors, you know, all energy upgrades, all the things you would think of to basically to create the unit in a like new situation for the residents when completed. So that's sort of our baseline starting point for assuming how this would look from a construction standpoint. This also includes the 90-10 blend on the rents, similar RAD conversion like we just talked about a moment ago. And we would look at this as a 9% competitive tax credit project, but it would go into a different funding category because it's a rehab instead of a new construction. And based on the amount of credit needed, the location, those sorts of things, we think this one could be highly competitive for a 9% rehabilitation project based on recent scores. So this one probably would honestly be the highest scoring one that's been submitted under the current QAP. And so MSHDA takes those once a year in its preservation category. And so this one would have to, it's once a year and it's in October. So it would be having to submit in October of 26 would be the target. And like I mentioned, preliminary scoring wise, it looks like it would be potentially the highest scoring one with some room to wiggle. We have here, you know, budgeted a 12-month construction period, but in reality, we'd probably be quicker than that. just wanted to, you know, estimate conservatively for you all, as you mentioned, winter conditions and things. But realistically, we'd be quicker than that based on what we've done of similar size projects. And we also would continue to, under this approach, though it wouldn't necessarily be required to make the project work, we'd continue to seek additional dollars through the Federal Home Loan Bank and elsewhere to figure out how we can maximize additional dollars to the Housing Commission or just make additional improvements to the project. Likewise, one thing I should mention here is this would involve too the ability for a seller note so that we can maximize the tax credits on the property. So you all we're assuming like the evaluation of it of like 1.6 million or something like that right now. You all would get that at closing and then put that back in as a secondary like seller source of financing. So you would receive those dollars through cash flow over time as well. So that would help to maximize tax credits, help to, you know, get some cash flow and loan repayments to the Housing Commission, those sorts of things. And we think this is a structure that would actually compete quite well. And at the 82,000 a unit in rehab would be a facelift for the project. So I'll pause there for any questions on the rehab component.
I'm curious on the energy efficiency. If I'm not mistaken, that's 2x4 construction, exterior construction. So how would you garner the appropriate energy efficiency with that?
There's different insulation, whether it's attic, whether it's appliance, whether it's furnace, hot water, blown in, foam. There's a number, hardy board versus, vinyl. There's a lot of different matters, and the energy consultant would go in beforehand, confirm the scope of work, and that consultant would also do the certification or the energy certification. And then we would also have the state certification at construction completion, knowing what that expected scope is that would be expected to be approved.
Okay. So in your past experience, have you worked with 2x4 exterior wall construction projects? And if so, what did you use, foam, or I'm just curious?
We used a lot of spray foam. Yes, we have. And we have appropriately managed all of the air ventilation vents. We have managed all of the windows. We have managed all of the appropriate specs and never have once have had a hiccup for the past probably 10 plus years with it. So a combination of spray foam, windows, insulation, flooring, we haven't had ever any hiccup. It's a greater expense, but it lowers the utility cost for the residents.
In my head, I cannot picture, and I can't say that it can't be done, but there is no way in my head I can picture making those units, especially on 12th Street, have any appeal to them. I mean, I can't even, those are the 2x4, the roof pitch is terrible. I mean,
They're gonna change that, the roofs will be
I
changed.
know, but it's like, I just can't picture how they're gonna make those barracks look any better.
Well, part of that is you can construct gables, false gables over your porch and things to really change the roof line, especially when you're gonna have a new roof. You can really work at adjusting the roof lines. Because we do that with Habitat homes to not make them look like a flat gutter.
Yeah, and I just can't put it in my head how, I mean, it's just because I have such a negative opinion about those places.
Yeah.
So I don't have the ability to kind of picture what you're saying.
We would be able to complement before and after renderings, video of what to expect on interior, exterior with before and after. We would work in partnership with you on that because there will be the needed communication to the residents, the investor, the city hall, the housing commission, et cetera, along with full pricing. So as you price this out, you go through Procore, your software, you put in all of your bids. They all understand the scope of work. you know, we all know how to manage, what the expected needed improvements are.
Well, since you've, been up here and looked and we have looked at them, we have one thing that has come to light, and that every one of these units, with the exception of two or three of them that were built in the teens, are gonna need all new electrical because of the old knob and tube electrical.
Yep.
With only 60 amp services. I don't know that you are aware of that or not. I don't think that $82,000 per unit will rehab these.
I might challenge you there and we can show you existing rehab of similar like electrical needs. I would challenge you to bring you down to Southeast Michigan to highlight what we're doing for less. I think you'll be able to find how we can rewire the boxes, get rid of the old aluminum, how we would be able to insert modernization for the electrical. That to us is the easiest part of the renovation. Even being occupied, we do not find concern managing the electrical. We do this day in, day out, every job, knowing that we have 50-plus-year-old, and it's easy for us to manage the galvanized piping. It's easy for us to manage the black iron pipe, the underground, etc. We're doing that physically right now in an old convent with the Felician sisters in Livonia right now. And it's easy for us to completely reconstruct all of these matters.
It's not that I sure hope I'm wrong and you're right. But I'm also concerned, this is section 9 low income tax credits, right?
Yep,
So our cost per unit is gonna be up versus the new construction, or are they gonna be about the same?
well, the renovation will cost less, but you also get the benefit of the developer fee that you could then also take developer fee to also build new and increase the number of availability for units. You know, where there's an obstacle, we'll find a solution, and we have total familiarity of all of your construction needs, knowing that we have shared services of in-house architectural, engineering, knowing that we have familiarity with the MISTA HUD requirements. And certainly there's going to be needed code upgrades per the city and per the investor.
Yes.
So we have so many opportunities to appropriately cut and paste the needs of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, underground. We have that total familiarity where there will be so many shared services with highlights of opportunity for compliance, maintenance, admin. You know, we would go step by step with you on these concerns that you're having right here. And we would appropriately write that spec down with the architect to recognize your years and years of needs for facility improvements.
I'll just add on to that too, is so the 82 per unit that's there. Additionally, there's an additional 8,200 a unit in contingency should something pop up. And this assumes very, very conservative look at it from a scoring perspective. We actually, with that score, would still have a couple of point cushion to where we could actually increase the budget even a little more if we needed to, and still be potentially the highest scoring project in that category. So if we wanted to sit down with you all and expand that budget and still allow for a comfortable rehab here, we could certainly do that without issue.
Well, okay, give me a little, less tax credits, 4% versus 9%. I know with 9% tax credits, a greater cost or a greater part of the cost is gonna be ours to bear. Is that correct?
Not necessarily, no. The only real difference, well, a couple main differences I'll say. So on a 9%, you have to go into the competitive round that we talked about in October, but the trade-off is you get substantially more private equity dollars coming in. 9% of the project basis versus 4% without, going too deep into it, but more or less 70% of your costs will be covered by equity in a 9% project versus 30% on a 4% project. On a 4%, you'd have to use MISTA financing. On a 9%, you can, essentially choose the lender that you want that would be, comfortable with the underwriting and the transaction and CRA investments, those kinds of things. So
you're
there's not
saying-
really more cost to bear per se on your side at all from that perspective. And from cost wise, pre-development and those sorts of things, certainly we would be, stepping up to help cover those as we work through the process.
Well, if there's not that much difference between 4 and 9, why is everyone coveting the 4% and not wanting the 9?
Yeah, the big draw to the 4% is the competitiveness, right? So a lot of people will start there because it's less competitive. So if a project can work as a 4%, and we do the same, right? If it works as a 4% project, then take the bird in hand and not have to deal with all the competition versus certain projects. If it looks like the best path forward for it from getting the needed resources is 9%, then you end up having to pivot that direction and deal with the competitiveness of the process. So that's what we're suggesting here is that this would come out the other end in all likelihood pretty good on a competitive 9% based on what we're looking at today.
We could score out both before any application is submitted. So therefore you have greater familiarity between a 4 and a 9 and what the greater benefit is for the Housing Commission as a 9% submission, October 1, 2026.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm just gonna make a statement, part of, there are many thoughts in my head, but we are going into this with someone that we feel we can have a relationship with. This is not about the money. This is not about the percentages. This is about a commitment and a partnership. We have been burned. Our residents have experienced the worst, and we are not going down that road again. So for my own self, and I'll only speak for myself, I enter into any of these discussions with a lot of hesitation and fear that we're just going to get shoddy service, substandard, whatever. And then again, the people who have been sitting in these homes for years, and we've maintained them as best we can, but they are terrible. And I just have to put that out there because I'm going to be watching for that relationship and that trust.
I would concur with you.
And we hear that and register that so clear, and it's important for whomever you choose to recognize that person's office, that person's resources, whomever your partner is, appropriately look at their balance sheet, look at their track record, look at the lifetime of team members who are aware for how long they've been and what the infrastructure is. Be certain to take a look at who your partner is and what their capabilities are, knowing that our organization, we are lifers, and it's important for you to know that we share same mission as you, and that we've never rewritten a partnership agreement. We've never renegotiated with our lender or have had a foreclosure or a deed in lieu, and that our HUD 2530 is immaculate. Our Inspire scores are immaculate. We've never retraded. And that's important for you to do further investigation, verification of with who you would choose to go with as partner and to come visit everyone's office. And again, to look at all matters of who has what resources internally, because those in-house architectural, engineering, construction, management being all inclusive is complementary to this joint opportunity.
If I may, the relationship that we've established, say for example, with housing authorities around Michigan, most recently have been with very troubled housing authorities, where families and residents do feel exactly as you have said. One housing authority, we have interviewed with HUD the residents who have gone through a rehab, and they've gone from, as you say, feeling burnt, tired, and exhausted because it was a troubled housing authority, to loving their new homes and their new relationships. But that was established throughout the entire pre-construction and construction, and included working with the municipality and all of the available social partners that we could bring in to make the families be engaged in the construction, understand the construction, and know where we were headed. We had model units so that they could see what the future was. They had the right to complain about the past. And we took everything into account so that they knew we wanted them to have a new day and a new home to live in. And it's a long process of engagement and being available, and we will be available for the good, the bad, the ugly, and the new.
And just remember, you have the municipality, you have the residents, you have the housing commission, you have your partner, you have the lender, the equity provider. You need continuity of all understanding of the financials and the renovation needs. The property comprehensive needs assessment for the next 20 years to manage operations, operating deficits, etc. So we're planning for a long-term relationship.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's the last thing.
Go ahead.
You know, actually, I am very thankful that you have taken the time to go back and kind of rework your presentation so that we, myself in particular, as I'm speaking to, have a better idea of what the options are and how they spell out. Instead of just kind of a one in and this is your choice. Now we really have some things to look at, and I would only ask this, if you were sitting in my seat, which of the two proposals would you go for, the new or the rental? And why?
Well, I would reevaluate, get resident input. I would price out both opportunities. I would put together the renderings of before and after for both. And I would look at the point scoring for both 4%, 9%. And I would see what is going to complement the city of Manistee, the housing commission, and the residents best. And there's a lot there to manage, knowing that it's only once a year you can submit for renovation for the 9% competitive credits, but also maybe to say, hey, if we do this 9%, get this, we can do a demo and build new. So we can do some demo and do replacement housing. There's a lot there to get into that our team would have to start sinking its teeth into to complement that question with you.
Thank you.
Well, that's the best non-answer to a question that I've ever had.
Yeah. We just need more time and direction from you, and to further evaluate moving NASCAR speed to say, hey, this is the reality. This is what the RAD rents are. This is what the Section 8 rents are. Hey, we recommend that you renovate the existing and then at the same time take some of the benefits from what you RAD to then build new.
I like that idea.
I'm just being honest with you. I'm not trying to read the audience and tell you what you want to hear. But I would figure out what needs to be demoed and then replace. And that can all be done parallel at the same time for the 9%.
Thank you.
The other thing that I will also tell you that's changed here in the last couple months is that hopefully we have just hired a new executive director who will be starting sometime in March or April.
March.
March. So you'll see a new face and I don't know how long it's gonna take to bring him up to speed, but, he's fully capable of doing about anything.
Excellent.
And he's no one local. He's coming in from Portland, Oregon.
Wow, I was
Wow.
born
Wow.
in Portland, Oregon. He
Anything
and I
else?
will remember when Mount St. Helens blew up, and we'll be able to talk about the zoo, and we'll be able to talk about a lot of the Portland excitement that I grew up with.
Roll under the bridge.
They had metal bridges then.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
And, we'll be in touch.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Are they gone? God, I wish I knew who we could trust.
So Steve, so just, can I just follow up with that just a little bit,
Sure.
just to kind of clarify what they said? And I think I've been saying the same thing, that the two options are out there. 9% will be the only viable option. You'll have to compete for tax credits to do either project. 4% doesn't bring enough money into a deal. It only brings 30% of what's needed. The 9% brings in like 70% of what's needed. Then you fill that gap with debt or AHP money, Federal Home Loan Bank money, which we didn't do over here. Should have. But that's up to $1 million.
But I thought it was the other way around.
No, no,
4% gave,
No, 4% is non-competitive. So if you can put a project together and you only need 30% of the project cost,
okay.
4% you don't compete for. The 9% credits are highly, highly competitive.
So that's why in new construction, he's at 4% because he doesn't think.
No,
No,
he never,
it's nine.
it's only 4% pilot payment. He just, there's no viable path for 4% tax credits in our
Okay,
process.
good, because I thought that they were gonna, we would end up having more debt with the 9, but it's the other way around.
It's the other way
It's
around.
4s.
Yeah, the only way a 4% works is if you have high rents and you can figure out that 70% gap and you can fund it with your rents and cash flow.
Okay.
Most people can't. The other thing I will say, in this preservation category, which is the rehab category. Now you can build new in the preservation category. You just cannot demolish if you apply under the preservation category. There's a set aside for preservation projects. That's what funded. That's how we're competitive, because we have an advantage as a housing commission. We get extra points because we bring a RAD conversion in. The states recognize that. So the developers will say, you guys have a competitive advantage, housing commissions, over us. That's one of the reasons why they want to partner with us, because they, but we need a partner. If we don't score high enough, we don't have the tax credit experience. So that's why we're interviewing developers. So what they said is exactly right. There's two ways to go. And if we do demo, then we have to go and compete in an open rural category with all the rural projects in the state. So that is a little more difficult to, so there's.
Now you say preservation, so if you leave one for the city.
No, preservation is, there's no demo. So if you want to apply under the preservation set aside tax credit, these tax credits are divided into a bunch of categories, and they're different, there's different There's urban, which we don't qualify for. So like Detroit has their own, or big cities have their own categories. There's, rural, which we would compete in. There's preservation, which we could compete in. There's supportive needs, which we're not looking at as supportive needs.
So
Probably.
preservation means that the shell has to stay.
It's renovation, no demo, just, it's no demo.
Can't tear it down.
But you can build new in addition. So that's what we did in Everett. So we,
Well, you say no demo, but if you take the top of the roof
Oh.
off,
but it's renovation. It's no,
Typically, in some renovations, you like, in some of the city ordinances, if you keep up one wall,
well,
you know, and add to it, you're renovating, you know, so.
You can't
Yeah.
change you
No.
can't change the footprint
Right.
but
Right.
basically you can
Anything
fix
inside.
it
pieces.
says no in the, Mr. Regs, it says no demo. You can't demo. So I don't know what the definition of that is.
okay, that's what I.
Yeah, that might be something for us to
You do a
research.
mix,
Mix what?
Yeah,
some demo.
some demo, some.
But you don't, but use that preservation category.
You'd have to preserve all, and then you could build another 10 new perhaps.
So in Everett, we applied for 2 different tax credit awards. We were awarded both had renovation and new construction. So that qualifies under the preservation category, but couldn't have demoed and built new. Then you go under the rural set aside. It's a complicated process, but
We had to keep everything.
which,
Why we have you, Mark.
yeah, so,
Well, I
but
like-
they're spot on with what they told you today. I just wanted you to.
I like the size of their team. I mean, you know, your architect sitting right there. It just sounded, it's so inclusive of everything that's needed instead of having to jump to different groups.
And so when whoever you pick, like, I think I've been trying to tell you, you go down, you start doing these analysis, they call it feasibility. And you get to a point where you said, this isn't competitive. We can't make this work. So then you take the detour and you look at this, like they said, we will size it, we will price it, we'll scope it. And then we'll have these conversations. So just because you pick a developer doesn't mean that you're locked into whatever they bring to the table. That's something we would negotiate.
Yeah.
So.
There's a lot, I mean, I keep saying I would love, and I know we can't really do this. I have a realistic side to me, but, you know, to me, garages are so important for families. And I just, you know, I don't know how much that would add to everything. It certainly wouldn't fall in that 82,000, that's.
Yeah, and new construction, if you tried to build, so there's an economy of scale, you're gonna build bigger buildings to replace duplexes is gonna be a lot more costly, and that may not be feasible, really. So,
But even like a carport or something like that.
Yeah.
With
Oh, yeah.
like the storage at the back. Those are just things that if you drive around, you look, everything's stored out.
yeah, it's nice.
Kids' toys, all that stuff. It's like, because they don't have the space.
Well, if we do a preservation project and we're restricted to the footprints that we have already.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't work and make a nice community. Because at times that they're crammed together. And, it reminds me of when I was a kid and lived in a house trailer after I got out of college. You sneeze and the guy next door says Gesundheit, that's what we want to get away from. And so I don't know that preservation would work.
Well, I guess that's kind of where my head was too, but when they said we'd show you renderings, we'll give you, it's like, okay, if you can show me that it'll look decent and it won't look like we're living on top of each other, I'm willing to listen.
And as far as partial storage, the prison down in Livonia, they build amazing 10 by 12 storage units, and they would probably be at cost or free for us.
And I just keep focusing back to this fella from Ann Arbor that I had to talk with last fall, and damn, I've got to get over and see his places that can put up 900 square foot, fully done houses for $120,000 to $140,000.
Not anymore. It's not possible.
Yeah, he swears by it and he'll sign a contract.
I'll buy it. I'll tell you what, I got $200,000 in my CD. If he can build a full house for $200,000.
What he said is, give me a piece of land in Manistee and I'll come up with a lot for it.
Because,
And if you don't like it, you can walk away.
because again, I just know that what it costs us to build a Habitat house. Our 1,100 square foot Habitat house is over $200,000.
But, and again, that's why I question is 82,000 for rehab, because the other,
No, is this a manufactured home also?
well,
We're going down to look at a company that makes manufactured homes also.
well, it's a modular. It's made inside and brought to site. It's made off-site.
That's manufactured, so inclusive. In other words, all the walls, everything are built. It comes on a trailer like our house, the first two houses
It
down
might
on.
come in a couple pieces.
Yeah, like the first homes that went on, where at the end of River Street. They came in on two trailers and then they put on the roof.
So I think that, well, yeah, I think that we have all our information on these guys.
So the less you want to do preservation,
Yeah.
get rid of your house. So that you
They're
can put
there,
new.
let's do them.
Well, at least they're starting to admit, there's several team members that need to come on, but I believe they're starting to enter as well.
What's that?
Hello?
You
John?
gotta let them in.
Yeah, we gotta let them in.
You've gotta let them in.
Well, I did hit admit all in lobby earlier. So that's why I thought it would carry over. No.
One thing, so when he talked about 82 and he said that there's room for that to go up. So there's in the scoring system, you get points for, they call it credit efficiency.
Mhm.
So how well you spend credit. So if you don't need those points and you can still get a successful application, you can actually increase the rehab costs. So there's a calculation they have to work through that. So I think they were picking out numbers that they're used to and they see right now in rehabs.
And they gave himself, and then plus a 10% contingency.
10% contingency. And you can defer developer fees back into a project too, to make it work necessary. So that's
The developer fee, like projections, that wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, so there's a lot of these projects, there's so many moving parts as you're building them and putting them together. So
I just don't know how you do a preservation project like up on Vine Street and make it look nice.
but I think that's your call and that's something that we want to be very conscious of what this is going to
Well,
look
like
like.
we took a couple houses out of there and we just demo them and just get rid of them there and put new construction somewhere else.
But then
Yeah.
you're not competing where we could be the most competitive. So that's the balance that.
So if you're gonna do that, you might as well just do all new.
Yep.
Because there's no advantage to doing partials.
Part of what I wonder is if we should have like a special session to just kind of really have the footprints of these properties and then really kind of, I mean, personally, I want them all gone, but I understand, I want new construction, but I understand that's outrageous cost.
But I think the
So
first thing,
I don't know what the footprints are. You're right. Maybe let's get rid of every other one. I don't know. But so maybe we need to just kind of really all know what we want.
But then we would not be able to have the points for for,
Well, we wouldn't compete. It depends on the path and that's what the developer would help us work
Yes.
through. And just because you pick a developer, that doesn't mean we're moving
We're locked
forward
in
down the
into
road.
anything.
We're not locked in. It could take 2 years of competitiveness to go through this process too. We may not
Well-
get funded and.
That would be another question I have. How much information can we glean from these guys? And we have them do at no cost.
before we pick the
Well, I
development,
think,
pretty much at the end of
yeah,
that.
I think you're at the end of that. I think the choice is we go with the developer, then we work through the process. And we may come to a decision that says it doesn't work.
And I think now we've got both sides. Before it wasn't, weren't looking at them on a levels plane because one was talking one side and the other one was talking the opposite end. Now we've got them both giving us the two options. So I think it's a lot easier to pick and develop from that.
Does everyone have the
I
scenario
just want to pick an
presentation?
honest developer that's gonna
For the
do the
next
best
one.
job he can for us.
Amen.
And I wanna believe both of them, but
Did you put it out for us?
You passed it out, I believe. It says scenario at the top.
yeah, it's, it's, yeah, it's kind of what it's stapled.
Yep. Here, okay.
Yep.
And then the acronyms.
Yeah.
You see it, Commissioner Mike check over now.
I don't know why you did that, but
This stuff, that stuff, I was doing through that,
It's
or one of these.
scenario. Yeah, the one from scenario right here.
Oh, I put them together, the two presentations together.
Okay.
And then these are the acronyms.
You need to, careful. So what time does Scenario think they should?
10:30.
All right, so we should jump on, get that.
Finish our rest.
Well, I think we could do a couple things.
okay. What are we up
So
to?
we're at,
Communication.
Yeah,
I only have a couple things to report on. The NARO conference, 2026 spring conference, in Battle Creek. So I supplied everyone with a copy of that. Let me know if anyone's interested in attending that. And there's also the Mishta Spring Conference is coming up, and that's May 13th and 14th. I would like to share that with the new director as well, and that might be, something that he might be interested in going and so I'm gonna make sure I share that with him. And then the only other thing that I have is the rent schedule for Century Terrace and Harborview has been approved effective 2/1/26. So when we initially converted to RAD, I believe the rents were right around 707 for a one bedroom, which is the amount that we were able to receive per unit. So if a resident was paying 300, HUD would send us $407 per month. That rent amount, the contract rent, has increased to $827 for a one bedroom and $1,072 for a two bedroom effective February 1st of 26. So that is approved and we will be implementing the new contract rents.
it just amazes me, those numbers. That's the median rental income in the area for a one bedroom, it's $828.
That's kind of what it's based on, the HAP contract. So that's one of the benefits of going through this RAD conversion because it gives you a more steady and generally more revenue stream.
Question, he talked about 90-10. On 90% would be,
PDRA.
yeah, PBRA, poverty-based rental assistance. And 10% would be RAD, and RAD numbers are lower. On CTHB, we did not,
Do that. That's a new program that increases rents. It's a blend, they call it. This is the same project, same thing I'm working on another project. And it increased this HAP payment that Lori's talking about to make the project more feasible.
but we got 100% PBRA on CTHB.
It's just that they're, part of what they call them tenant protection vouchers. It's just the blend. It's the way the process works. It increases the HAP payment. So it's a way to take them out of the public housing program. They call it a disposition. Section 18 is disposition.
Okay.
So is there anything else, Lori?
I do not have anything else.
You got the, deficiencies for Commonwealth.
Yeah, that was just for,
That's just for everyone's.
just to keep everyone updated that I'm still working on getting the punch list.
Efficiency lists that you have here, would you send those also to Shiloh? So he's there.
Yep, I sure will. And we are meeting with Jeff Klug at 3 o'clock today to go over them so that we can.
Mark, did you have anything?
Yeah, I just had one thing I really wanted to touch on. This is something new. And here's a good reason to leave the public housing program. So in July, in my opinion, so just so you know, in July, HUD issued a notice 25-20 that requires now that we pay all interest on any federal money back to the government, to the federal government. So we can keep $500.
That we do what?
We can only keep $500 of any interest earned per year. So our accountants are telling us we're gonna have a
$22,000.
$22,000 receivable or payable to HUD,
Back to HUD.
back to HUD. So this came
Well,
out,
we'll just keep them keep it in a little category for them.
so it goes back to, I can't remember in the notice, but so it's got everybody all buzzing in the industry about this, so, and
No, is there gonna be, is anybody alerted our representatives to kind of?
no, this is something I hadn't been following. It just kind of when our accountants are doing our year-end stuff, same accountants here in
Now, what interest are you
That's
talking
literally
about?
stealing
All-
from the poor.
all of our-
I mean,
Exactly.
all of our,
Reserves.
our investment interest.
What investment interest would we have?
We have a bunch.
Now, on your security deposit, you do not have to include the interest earned on your security deposits.
But like on operating subsidy, capital fund money,
What interest earned? We would have $22,000 worth of interest right now in a year.
According to the accountant for the 2025 year end.
yeah, if you look at, the investment register and the financials, I think you'd see where
Whereas we do have a lot of cash sitting out there. I understand that.
we have, the sweep account. Let's see.
We do have the schedule for 10:30.
Yeah,
right.
We might.
so we gotta move on.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Anyway, I just wanted to, that's. There's always a surprise.
Another really
Yeah.
interesting dumb move.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Returned out.
Huh?
Say good morning.
Good morning.
So are you guys ready to
Looking at 'em.
give us some information?
Yes, we are. So we prepared a slide deck. It seems on this link, I'm having a little trouble sharing.
Yeah, we weren't able to figure it out last time either, but I think we have something in front of us. It's not your slide deck though, is it?
Would you like to email that to me?
Gotcha.
Then I could open it.
Yep, I can get you. Sure can. Let me see here.
Two mail things open up there. Lori.
All right, Lori, I'm gonna send this over to you.
You know, what it would drive me nuts if I share a computer with her. She likes to open up files and keep them all up.
It's like me and the TV remote. I like to go fast. My wife cannot stand it.
So Lori, the file is a little large, so I'm hoping there's no trouble of it going through, but I'm just waiting for that to attach and I'll email it over. Well, I don't see why we can't get started with some introductions on our end. So I think there's maybe a few familiar faces for the group that we talked with the past couple times with. I'm John Cipriano. I'm an associate development manager here at Snare Solutions with a primary focus in our Michigan area of work. I work to support Chris Laurent here, who's our president, and Lily, who is a development manager here. So I'll kick it off to Lily.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everyone. I was there in person with John during the first interview. So I'm based out of the Detroit office. I've been with Snare Solutions for 8.5, almost 9 years this summer. My background is in architecture. I'm a licensed architect, urban designer, and I've been doing the development work in this space since I joined Snare Solutions. Happy to be here. I will kick it off to Chris next.
All right. Apologize for not being on video. I'm Chris Laurent. I serve the team as president. I live in Madison, driving to Milwaukee for an event. So I'm just here really to listen, let these guys talk, and address any questions you have. Rex?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for letting me be here. I just graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison with a master's degree in real estate last semester, and I'm just an intern with the team, so I'm just going to be learning and really watching them today. So thank you for letting me be here.
All right, Lori, I'm going to try to print this maybe into PDF and see if I can make it smaller.
We never did figure out how to share the whiteboard. What, yeah, just start
That's
white
for us to share though.
Yeah. The other direction.
Lily, did you want to, could you get it started maybe just a recap of Snare Solutions if you have the interview, if you have the slide deck pulled up by chance? I can share it with you. Just I'm trying to figure out this. You're on mute, Lily.
Of course I was. I said I don't have the slide deck pulled up, but I'm happy to talk about Snare Solutions for maybe those folks that have not heard our elevator pitch before. So Snare Solutions, we are a nonprofit development company. Our parent company is Snare, which is a community development financial institution. We have offices throughout the Midwest. Our focus is affordable housing, and that can look a variety of different ways. Single family, scattered site, multifamily, mixed use development as well. We do adaptive reuse or have done adaptive reuse of, different typologies, such as converting schools into affordable homes. We also serve different populations, veterans, permanent supportive housing, families. So I think in terms of how far we extend our services to the community is pretty far. We also, I think one of our business models has been to partner with other nonprofit and mission-driven organizations. We help, and the thinking there, the strategy there is, they also align with our mission of creating better, healthier neighborhoods. They bring in the knowledge of that particular site. They have a very intimate connection with their neighborhood, but sometimes maybe not the technical skills of getting development done. And that's where we can come in and provide support. So it can look a variety of ways, because sometimes organizations have done previous development, sometimes not. So we try to fit that gap as best we can, and definitely help support in community engagement and making sure that our partners are learning the process of the LIHTC process alongside with us. I'm gonna just stop real quick because I see that Nicole joined, and I'd like to give her an opportunity to introduce herself to the group.
Good morning. Thank you, Lily. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Nicole Solheim. I serve the team as Senior Vice President, and I am based here in Wisconsin, but support the team in all of our markets, including Michigan. Nice to meet you.
All right, thanks, Nicole. So I'm gonna wrap up that introduction for Scenario Solutions, and maybe it's a good stopping point to see if John's ready with the slides, or if anybody has any questions about our group. There we go.
Okay, I did figure it out. Let's go to slideshow here. All right. So yeah, Lily kicked us off with a great introduction. Thank you. Just kind of to build off of that. Can everyone see the screen okay?
What happened, Lauren?
We can see the initial slide. There we go. That says Center Solutions Corporation is the nonprofit.
John, can you hear us okay still?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the whole system just went crash.
We can hear you.
I was able to make him a presenter.
Oh, okay. And then it crashed.
We can hear you guys. Can you hear us?
Go back to,
Mark, did you have anything else you want?
No, I just wanted to talk about that just a little bit. That's this whole interest thing has kind of hit us off guard, and
Well, hopefully with the next rag conversion we do, we will be out of public.
well, yeah, I mean, really, it's a benefit to be out of the public housing system.